Cycling Road was home to a biker gang known all around Kanto. Road first heard about them a couple years ago, and their ways of extortion. Thinking about all the free money he could make, he wanted to join them once he became a strong enough trainer and had his own bike. As he entered Cycling Road, he was confronted by the big boss, who told him to get lost since he was just a kid and had a wimpy bicycle instead of a motorcycle. Annoyed by how lame the biker game ended up being, he challenged them all to Pokemon battles and beat every one of them. It felt great to beat them up, so he decided to do it over and over and over and over. Want a route? After shattering grown men's beliefs in the world, Red thought it would be funny to traumatize even more losers. The fighting dojo in Saffron used to be a gym, but they were so awful that they ended up being just a dojo instead. They're still terrible trainers. Red taking on this gym was like watching Naruto take on Kakashi in the first couple episodes of the show. Speaking of which, it was about time Red got his next badge. All of these walls and illusions show how much of a coward Koga is. Imagine thinking you're some kind of cool ninja or something. He doesn't even have that much respect from poison users, since there are a whole bunch of psychics residing in this gym, training against him and bullying him. That's probably the real reason he's hiding all the time. When Red was finally able to navigate the walls and find him, Koga exclaimed, "I'm the best gym leader there is! Believe it! I will be Hokage of the Elite Four someday!" Surprisingly to Red, this was one of the hardest battles he's faced yet. The poison Koga was able to keep inflicting really made it difficult to navigate the battle. Koga's Pokemon used sneaky tactics, just like him. Red had to use almost every single Pokemon in this fight since he didn't beat up those bikers enough. Luckily he was able to get out with the badge and didn't lose anybody. Maybe next time he should ask Jiraiya for some tips. Red broke into the old Safari Warden's house and he couldn't understand him. Luckily Red was able to make a set of teeth out of all those bikers he beat up. So he handed it over for the Warden to use. The Warden gave Red the HM for Strength, which would be Normal's new favorite move. Since he now had 5 badges, Red felt confident enough to finish what he started in Silphco. After once again making himself completely sick to his stomach, he found his way to the top of the building. When he got to the top, his starter Pokemon, Fire, finally evolved into the most overrated Pokemon of all time. Red has raised his wooden hammer into a mighty power tool. At the top he found that the rocket boss Giovanni was confronting the president of Silphco. Giovanni explained that he was at the most important step of his goal, to catch the ultimate pizza-making Pokemon, and the president here had what he needed to get it, the Master Ball. The Master Ball was the only way Team Rocket could ever hope to get their hands on Mewtwo. Red saw this as his opportunity to catch such a powerful Pokemon himself. Giovanni was still clearly holding back for some reason, despite being near the end of his goals. Or maybe he was just too scared to go all out, since at the end of the battle, Giovanni was left trembling, wishing he never met Red in the first place. He decided he needed to go back to his old ways of training if he ever hoped to make it to the top of the pizza chain business. He scurried out, leaving Red to the president. The president of Silphco, being practically blind, had no real idea what happened and was just waiting for his assistant to clean up the mess. After she explained Red helped save the company, albeit looking terrifying and almost godlike in his battle with Giovanni, and didn't seem to care about handing away the greatest tool a Pokemon trainer could ever have. Red knew the 6th gym was a psychic gym, but not even Stephen Strange Sorcerer Supreme could help those guys out, since Red had a plan. It was time to pray to Lady Luck once again as he went back to Team Rocket's pizzeria for some gambling. After about 2 weeks, he was finally able to get enough coins for the Shadow Ball TM. This is before the Nintendo DS was released, so Shadow Ball was the perfect technique for a physical damage dealer and special tank, like Normal. Normal would now be able to completely wipe the floor with one of the Elite Four members too. Tearing through the gym with his new move, Red finally made his way to Sabrina after puking a couple more times. The battle wasn't a battle at all. I would say I feel bad for her, but at the end of the day, she should have seen it coming. And her Pokemon should have as well. Red gets his 6th badge and is feeling unstoppable. Why? Why are there spinning teleport pads? Who likes this? Why would anyone go to work like this? Why are there 2 different buildings with the same tiles like this? Saffron needs to ban these. Who is the mayor of this town? The next target for Red is Blaine, the Turtle Hermit. To get there, he needs to fly back to Pallet Town. At long last, he has returned home. Surely he would want to go see the professor and, of course, his mom. Nope, he goes south immediately and heads for his destination. When he got to Cinnabar Island, the door to the gym was locked, meaning his journey was over and he had to go home. First, he decided to check out the abandoned mansion. The insides of the mansion made Red feel strange. There was also a faint smell of cheese. As he continued into the mansion, he found some random notes lying around about Mew. The notes explain how some scientists were all helping in creation of the perfect Mew clone. Testing took years and there were many failed projects. One of these failed projects were labeled as Mewtwo. None of the scientists were able to see eye to eye when it came to what they should do with this perfect Pokemon. One group wanted to use it for cooking, but the other wanted to use him for world domination. The most confusing thing to Red was how there were notes saying they finally completed this perfect Pokemon, but there wasn't a name for it. If Mewtwo wasn't it, then what was? Further down in the basement of the mansion, he found the key for Blaine's gym, and it was time to put his knowledge to the test. After cheating on every test and battling the trainers anyway just because he could, Red made his way to the end of the gym, where it looked like his final test would be to learn the Kamehameha. Instead, he was greeted with a man who went on and on about how much he loves Kanto, and how it's all Oak's fault that Kanto isn't as respected as it should be in the world. Red wasn't sure why Blaine was telling him this, but didn't really care. All that was on his mind was capturing Mewtwo. For some reason, Blaine kept finishing every sentence with Dale. All of Blaine's Pokemon were balding, just like him. Red was breezing through Blaine's team since Dig was just one-shotting every... This is the second loss Red has ever had. But just like the last one, he didn't really seem to care. So neither should we. Ground kept his namesake and was buried under it. Red finished off the rest of his team quickly. I guess Blaine never learned that you can't fight fire with fire. Red was one step closer to Mewtwo. He only needed one more badge. With the most serious of looks on his face, on his way to bury one of his longest tenured members of his team, he headed out of Cinnabar's gym, only to be greeted by some angry guy calling Red a jerk and a thief. He kept talking about some islands that nobody has ever heard of, so Red just ignored him and eventually he went away. Red couldn't help but feel like he wanted to catch that guy. Red now needed someone to add to his team, but had no idea where to start. He goes to Seafoam Islands and catches Watertooth the Psyduck, but that would not be nearly good enough. It is time to do some thievery with Professor Oak's help. The professor has all kinds of lackeys set up in different places around the region. Top-level places, like the Pewter City Museum. Red flies there to get something Team Rocket Pizzeria wish they could get their hands on, the Old Amber. Red flies back to get his new Pokemon, Rockfly the Aerodactyl, and trains him up for the last gym. After going back to Viridian City where there was a closed gym before, Red was able to go inside, and he found sliding floor puzzles. And the greatest thing he had ever smelled. This could only mean one thing. Giovanni was sitting there, and he looked as determined as ever. Not to win his final battle with Red, but to try and get him to eat his best dish, created by his most popular mom and dad chef duo in the region. To surpass this duo, he needed to beat Red in a battle for his Master Ball to catch Mewtwo, so Mewtwo could add a flavor only it can add. All of Giovanni's Pokemon seem like great cooks, just like him. Giovanni has battled Red twice now. He knows all of his strategies. It was time he took down this monster once and for all. The perfect pizza would be his. After getting destroyed, Giovanni declared that he was done making pizza. He's going to try to leave it to his son, who was a little younger than Red. For now, it was time to disband Team Rocket's Pizzeria and lay low. Finally, Red had all the badges, and his team looked unstoppable. Next stop, the Pokemon League. No, what the hell. Blue decided to run back from the Pokemon League just for the chance to mess with Red a little. Good luck with that. Blue got down to his Blastoise, which is actually a pretty high level. The only thing that could deal with this was Normal. Normal put out some damage and was close to taking it down, just needed to survive a... What? A water gun takes out a giant land mammoth like Normal? This is absurd. Red couldn't believe it. Blue took a whiff and told Red that's what disappointment smells, or feels like. For the first time in a long time, Red felt angry.